Greetings, one and all, from the White Mountains of Arizona. It is channeling time, my friends. I've had enough, guys. I'm sick of it. I don't want to hear anything else about this stupid eclipse, okay? If you've been paying attention, you have seen that all throughout the news, they're trying to hype up this eclipse as if something's going to happen. And if the news is talking about something, well, it's deception, folks. And so we're going to try to figure out what's going on with this eclipse, why there's so much paranoia, fear-mongering being put out surrounding it, why the spiritual community has bought into this fear-mongering. If that's you, tisk, tisk, tisk. But the way I feel about it is that with all we've been learning about the cube and space, it's like these celestial bodies aren't real. It's my belief, at least, that they're not real. They're all holograms. They're all part of the cube matrix. So why would we invest anything in them? Why would we put our power into these celestial bodies? Why would we give away our power to them if they're part of the cube matrix? I don't know. We need to get some clarification on what's going on, why they're hyping this eclipse up, what energies it's going to bring, and just get whatever info we can from whoever Tara's going to channel. I don't know who it is. We had no intention. She's going to ask to speak to the person most qualified to answer our questions about this eclipse.
Okay.
All right, who you got?
Change Lady.
Oh, the Change Lady. So for those who don't know, Change Lady is a tool, or is she Dinette?
Dinette.
She's a Dinette spirit who exists, I guess, near a hill. And whenever great change is coming, she appears. She wears a white gown, she has long black hair, and the Dinette believed that when she appeared, that was an omen of big changes to come. Okay, so she's going to speak to us for the first time, huh?
Yes, she felt like now is a good time.
Okay, what vibrational frequency is she in?
4.
Is she a lower astral? Is she higher polarity?
She says she would consider herself neutral, as she's neither higher nor lower, since she is a creation of the people. So she has consciousness, but she's also a part of the cube. So she says she understands the programming of the cube.
Okay, so the Dinette people made myth and legends and stories around her, so they manifested her.
Yes.
You gave her consciousness. Okay, so my first question, official question, is why is there so much fear-mongering surrounding this eclipse in our social media, in our mass media, etc.?
Every culture has wanted a end of the world of sorts. So they try to create a manifestation of it, utilizing natural occurrences. Even as modern as your society is, you're still looking to nature to create some sort of end of the world, some sort of end of chapter, so that you have the permission to start anew.
So the controllers of the cube are trying to get us to manifest a reset?
A reset of sorts. It is just a program, like much of nature is. And they tap into your ancestral roots. Before you had your modernization, before your technology, when all you had to go off of was nature, and you were at her whim. But that is not the case anymore. But that fear was never healed. And so it's easy to tap into again and again with tidal waves, earthquakes, solar eclipses. It's so easy because it did not heal.
So they're trying to convince us basically that the sky is falling.
Yes. And when you are in that fear state, you will cling to and believe anyone who appears to have an iota of authority. This is where the great speakers would come in the past, whether they were benign or malicious. It didn't matter their agenda. The people followed them willingly because they believed that this one person or group of people had power over nature and power to save them.
So in our modern day, it'll be the news, the mass media.
Yes, or your governments are now like one powerful entity leading the people to salvation.
So they want us to believe that this benign occurrence, which is natural and happens all the time, is going to be the end of the world to get us in a lower vibration. For what reason?
To prepare you for whatever imaginings they wish, whatever book of fiction they decide to pull from, whether they pull from your actual history or history that has been created, or perhaps from your religions, anything to get you to eat out of the palm of their hand and believe anything. When a child is scared, they believe anything the parent will tell them to get them to calm down. They want to be calm. They don't want anxiety. So they'll believe anything that quells that anxiety.
So they want to put us into a hysteria, believe that the world is ending. They'll come in with the answers. The answer is more restrictions on freedoms. More power to them.
Yes, I would say that they would try to sell you snake oil, but in my people's time, snake is a healing property, so take that as you will.
Right. In the 1800s, snake oil is something else. So are they going to bring in fake aliens? Is that what this is leading up towards?
They've already begun.
Right. So the people who are in fear of this cataclysmic event, which is not non-existent, will be willing to accept their version of extraterrestrials.
Yes, but just as I was created from the soul and the imaginings of a people, you too can create something if you are pushed hard enough. So if so many people believe that a certain occurrence will occur, then yes, in your reality, it will occur.
What percentage of the people are buying into this nonsense about the eclipse being the end of the world?
34%.
So they're not going to be able to manifest what they want.
Not entirely, but in the reality of those 34%, what they believe will be true.
Is every single one of those 34% on the lower timeline?
No.
So there's some higher timelines who will believe the cabal's agenda.
In every percentage, it's a 50-50 percentage. Within 1% is 50-50%. Within 34% is 50-50%.
How can my loving friends who meditate, who go inwards, who see through the deception, fall for this nonsense?
Because they have ego.
And they're in fear.
The ego is in fear, not the soul.
Right. So how can we transmute this negative energy they're trying to put out? How can we counter it?
Try to understand why it's in your reality. Why are you hearing about this? Why are people talking about this in your reality? How can you heal this aspect that you are being presented in your reality? If you are not happy with what you are being presented, then you know that you have the power to change it. That means you have something that you wish to heal. It all starts with the individual before it becomes the collective.
So as a collective, are we yearning for a reset because we're just fed up with all this?
Yes, at a soul level, many know that this is an illusion of sorts To what degree that illusion is depends on the person. But many are ready for a change in their personal lives, as well as global changes within communities. And usually, when there is a change, people are hoping for the biggest of changes. Just like when people play your lotteries, they want something so massive it could create a massive change in their lives.
So the cabal knows that as a collective we wish for change, so they're using that desire for change to push us towards negative change.
Yes, that's their programming.
Well, what energy, let's take away the controllers of the matrix. What energy is this eclipse bringing?
It's merely something that you can see and perhaps feel, but nothing more. It is the sense manipulation, sight, and felt energy. What you attribute to that gives it greater purpose than it actually is. It is just as if you were watching a movie. You may feel something about that movie, see what is happening, but you know it's not real. But you take away the television screen and widen it beyond the parameters where you can see the frame, and now you believe it is real. I see it, I feel it. There's no difference between your movies and what you see outside of the theater.
Right, that's what we're learning. The dream world and the waking world are the same thing.
That's why I exist, yes.
Okay. So the eclipse isn't bringing any unusual special energy. This is just a normal occurrence.
Yes.
I struggle to understand how 34% of the population can see a normal occurrence as the end of the world. Sure, they're in fear, but why? How could they be in so much fear that their brains don't work?
It's not that their brain doesn't work, it's unhealed. You know that this is not the only Earth in existence that ever will be or ever has been. That means that there are other timelines and other versions of Earth in which cataclysmic events did take place and lives were taken. There were great resets. And because it was so traumatic for so many souls, that trauma stays with them. Anything that harkens back to that trauma can be blinding to a rational human being if it is not healed.
So, I mean, I believe, around when my planet was destroyed, yet I don't seem to have any of this trauma. Why is that?
Not everybody deals with trauma exactly the same or has healed their trauma exactly the same. The soul that you are speaking of, the fragment of you that belonged to the Lyrans, they have gone through great measures to heal that particular trauma. So that trauma does not resonate in your reality, although partially. Otherwise, you would not have even heard of such stories about this eclipse.
Okay, so in my past lives, I've healed from the trauma of losing my home planet.
Not in its entirety, but greatly.
Ah, so that's why I hear of an eclipse, post-apocalyptic type eclipse, but I don't buy into it.
Yes, that is the power of healing. That is why it is so important.
So if the 76%, is that good math? 60, whatever. If the rest of humanity um, counter counter manifests what the cabal or the controllers want, what would be that? What would that outcome look like?
You mean if everybody wanted the exact same manifestation?
Well, no, there's the majority of us who don't buy into this is the apocalypse. So what are we going to manifest as a collective?
It would just be another day.
Is that the timeline we're on?
In this particular timeline, it is as if it has been split in half. It's a fragmented timeline. There are timelines in which, yes, certain things do happen, not to the level of destruction of people and the planet. And there are timelines when absolutely nothing occurs. But this is a fragmented timeline where things don't seem to add up. Too many glitches, mismatches. It would seem as though things are happening, yet they're not happening. Things don't make sense. This is this timeline.
Okay, so we're going to see odd weather, odd things in our vision. 4D, will we see 4D?
You have been seeing 4D. That's how you know who I am.
Yeah, I saw you. So is the reason you're appearing to us in our timeline now because of this eclipse and the changes it'll bring?
Because of this fragmented timeline. This eclipse is within the fragmented timeline.
Is the human consciousness split 50-50 on the, is there 2 fragments or more?
Imagine an ice cube that shattered on the floor. That's what your timeline looks like.
Okay, so there's a big piece and then there's smaller pieces, and
Yes.
and the majority of people will go on the big piece timeline, but some will go on the smaller piece timelines.
Of course.
Can you tell us what timeline the collective is on at this moment, where we're headed as a collective?
Our current timeline, fragmented. The collective.
So this is truly a 2-world split we're witnessing.
Yes, you could say this is another marker of that. Of course, within your own lifetime, as very short as it has been, there's been other end of the world scenarios, yet you are still here. Perhaps for some, they were actual events. Things did occur. For some, nothing occurred. This will be somewhat similar, but slightly different, as the awakening is greater than it was in the past.
Yeah, I almost died during Y2K. I'm rolling my eyes. That's a joke. I'm just a little frustrated with humans, but I'm frustrated with myself, I guess. Okay, well, thank you very much for that information. That's eye-opening. I hope this helps people to see through deception. I love you, and I thank you for speaking with us. Do you have any last message before we go?
Be prepared when you finally see me in my entirety. That is a major fragmented glitch in your timeline. When you begin to see all of 4D.
All right. What a segue, because I want to channel information about 4D.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe that'll be next week.
I think that would be
What
great.
does 4D look like? What is it? What happens there? Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah, my hands went numb.
So what'd you think of that channeling? We finally got to talk to the change lady. We've seen her many times.
Yeah, I mean, she's an interesting energy. She was like here before she jumped in, and it's like you don't know how to take her because she's not good or bad. She's just there. So you're like, usually I categorize things as in like positive polarity, negative polarity, but she seemed rather pleasant, like a positive polarity, but it didn't seem like she was favoring one side or the other. It's just like,
yeah,
I'm here, I was created.
There's no nonsense, just facts.
Yeah. So, and it was interesting. She was going back and forth between looking like a ginormous white owl and her. It was like,
oh, so that's what she meant when we see her true form. She'll be half owl, half changing lady, maybe.
yeah, because I mean, when we've seen her, or at least when I've seen her, it's always just been from kind of like here down, sort of. But yeah, I remember that channeling, and it's interesting, like a fragmented timeline, something that isn't smooth, and that would probably account for why things have been so weird.
Yeah.
Like 60 degrees and snowing. And
Yeah, I'm trying to get answers of what's going to happen. She's like, don't you understand? It's fragmented.
Yeah.
It's like, it's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah. Birds that fly past trees and then disappear into thin air. So,
well, it's going to be an adventure.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. It's like, I want to be like, oh, this is just Y2K all over again. I don't care. But at the same time, I'm also like, what are people going to manifest? Like,
yeah,
what?
but they're going to manifest doom and gloom.
I don't want doomsday. I want to like see people flying and stuff, you know?
Well, in our reality, that'll happen. In their reality, it'll be
cool.
tsunamis and earthquakes.
Yeah. So,
all
I
right.
don't know. We'll see. But definitely let us know what your intuition says, what you guys thought. We'd love to have a discussion in the comments. And...
Well, if we're wrong, there won't be any comments.
Oh.
This is coming out on Monday.
It's just going to be crickets.
If we're wrong, we'll be under 80 feet of water here.
Yeah. Well, we'll have a lake here again.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you know when we have lakefront property.
Bring your dinghies.
Yeah.
All right, we got to go.
All right. We'll catch you guys next week. And thank you so much for joining us. Bye.
Bye.